Hi everyone. So let's go back to Sue. So looking at Sue's information, you can see that she was also a post-secondary student, okay? She's full-time journalism student at Town University. Tax document is below. We'll have a look at that. Okay, so let's scroll down and you can see here to complete this return, you will need Schedule 11, federal tuition, and Schedule NS11, provincial tuition. And if you remember, think back to filling out the TD1 and the TD1NS. On both of them, there were tuition amounts. The federal was just straight tuition. The provincial, if you remember, was the tuition amount plus an amount allocated for books. Okay, so let's scroll down here. We've got our tax document. And we've got our T4. And let's scroll down. And there is our T2202. Okay, you can see the name of it down here in the corner. You'll be receiving one of these from, well, I say receiving, it'll be available to you on your finance site under your MyNSCC. So it's for year 2023. We've got the student number, journalism, Sue Brown, Town University, the address. I've put her social insurance number just as zeros. And then you can see here that the student was full-time for 8 months. Okay, so from January to April and from September to December. $4,000 and $4,000 for a total of $8,000 for the 8 months that they were in school. Okay, so I'm not going to do the exact example. So again, we're going to go to the income tax return and we're going to pull up the forms that we need. Okay, so we'll come back over here. This again is Sarah Jane. So let's go down and find where the tuition information needs to go. So that's your total income. It doesn't go in there. Net income, it doesn't go in there. Taxable income, it's not part of your income. It's part of your non-refundable tax credits. So again, we're on the T1, so it's federal. And if you see here on line, well, you can call it either line 104 or 32400. Oh, wrong one. 32300 or line 103. And that's another thing. Be very careful what line you put things on, okay? So your tuition, education, and textbook amounts, complete Schedule 11, and it goes on this line. Okay, so again, let's go over to CRA's website. CRA. Income tax package. Nova Scotia. Scroll down. If I opened up the NS 428, you'll be able to see on this one as well. So I'll just leave that open for now. Actually, I won't. I'll go back. So I scroll down. Here's my forms. I'll get that after. So here's my Schedule 11 for the federal. And if you look over on this side, under Nova Scotia, you can see Schedule 11 NS for the provincial. So the first thing we're going to do is do the federal. Fillable. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So have a read through all of the fine print as well. It'll help you understand the forms that much better. Okay. So calculating your tuition, education, and textbook amounts and the Canada training credit if that relates to you, but in this case, it does not. Okay, so eligible tuition fees paid to Canadian educational institutions for 2023, and it has to be more than $100. So let's say for Sarah Jane, because remember that's who we're working on, let's say for Sarah Jane, she paid $2,500. Okay, so we don't do the Canada training. And then we come down here. So there's no other amount because it's not the Canada training. So we have the 2,500, 00. She's too young to receive the Canada training. It's over 25, I think. I can't remember right now exactly how much it is. But if you're curious, you can always go have a look. Oops, I put that on the wrong line. Sorry, I'm talking and I'm trying to fill it in at the same time, which obviously is not working out very well. 2,500.00. And again, there's no eligible tuition fees paid to foreign educational institutions. That doesn't qualify, so 2,500. And then we've got unused federal tuition from previous years. If we need it, because it does carry forward if you don't use it all in a given year. So a lot of times students don't need it while they're in school, but as soon as they leave school and they're working full time, they can use those carried over amounts. And this can be found on your notice of assessment form in your CRA account. Okay, and then again, line 10 would be your 2,500. Okay, so now we need to figure out how much of that 2,500 we actually need in this year to help us reduce the amount of taxes that we pay in and actually make our return as big, or our refund as big as possible. So from here, we want to enter the amount from line 2600 of your return. And if you go to line 2600, which is right up here, you can see that it is the taxable amount from your income. So we're going to, for Sarah Jane, we guesstimated that her amount of income was actually about 17,300, somewhere around there. So let's say that her taxable income was about 17,000 after anything got deducted that needed to be deducted. And then enter the amount from line 101 of your return. And if we go over here and have a look at line 101, what that is adding up a lot of our federal non-refundable tax credits. So we add all those ones up, carry the 83 over to line 84. Then we have our base CPP, our EI, and our Canada employment amount. Don't forget the Canada employment amount. Okay, and then there's a couple of other things that are added in. So then once you get down here to line 101, this is the amount that you bring forward. Okay, so for the sake of this example, let's say that our tax credits were 15,900. Okay, so we need to subtract, take line 11 minus line 12, and that gives us 1,100. Okay. So the next line that we need to subtract from that is unused tuition, education, and textbook amounts you are claiming for 2023. Enter whichever is less. So line 9, which is nothing, or line 13, which is your 1,100. So of course the nothing from line 9 is bigger, or sorry, less. And then we have, so there's nothing that's carried over to 14. But if we take line 13 minus line 14, we still have the 1,100 that we bring down. And then from there, On line 16, it says for 2023 tuition amount, enter whichever is less, amount 8 or line 8 or line 15. Our line 8 is 2,500. Our line 50 is only 1,100. So that's the amount we're going to bring down. And then take 14 plus 16, which gives us 1,100. So that is the amount that is actually going to go on our income tax on our T1. So we've got here your tuition education amount completed from Schedule 11. We're going to put 1,100 there. So that is your tuition amount for the federal. Okay, so by filling in the 2023 enrollment information, you need to figure out which box to fill in. So if you were a part-time student, you'd put in the number of months here that you were part-time. If you were a full-time student, you would fill in the number of months here. Okay, so say Sarah Jane was a full-time student, you would enter 8 months in this line here. So for 32,020. So now if we come over here to our Nova Scotia form, our NS Schedule 11, we have, if we look here, we've got any unused amounts. We don't have any unused amounts. And now it says enter the amount from line 8 for your federal Schedule 11. So if you go back over and have a look for line 8, your line 8 is your 2,500. So we're going to fill in the 2,500 on line 2. And here, okay, so here we look at the number of months. So the number of months from line 32,020 for Federal Schedule 11 was the 8 months because she was full-time, times the 200 gives you 1,600. Okay, so then it wants you to add line 2 to line 4, and that's going to give us $4,100. Okay, so we've got our 4,100 and total available. There was nothing in the unused line, so we've got 4,100. Okay. So this here is very similar to what we looked at for the federal, trying to figure out exactly how much tuition we need to use. So I'm going to leave that to you to work this part out. Then you'll figure out how much goes on your Nova Scotia, your NS 428. And then again, next class, we will look at the transfer and carry forward of unused amounts. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll give you a hand. Thanks, everyone.